What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the morning movie chat. I hope you're all having a very good day today here on this Monday morning. You know what? Oof, man, always something, right? I forgot to turn off my monitor for my sound. Yeah, I don't monitor my sound normally. I apologize, but thank you all so much for being here on the Second Street Marvel for the morning movie chat. Here on this Monday, July 4th, kicking off this, I guess you could say, this first full week in January of the new year. We are less than 2 weeks away from the premiere of WandaVision over on Disney Plus, and I can tell you I'm certainly hyped. I know you are as well. Let me know how hyped you are down in the comments below. And also, I mean, in case you haven't been paying attention, we can see that streaming is going to be a boon for 2021 as we move into Disney Plus is finally going to be releasing some content. Like I said, we've got WandaVision coming up. We know that Black Widow is supposed to be premiering at the movies on May. What is it they changed it to now? Is it like May 6th, I believe? It's basically a year from when it was originally supposed to premiere at the movie theater. We've also got Falcon and Winter Soldier getting ready to come up right before that, I believe, as well. We also have all kinds of other shows getting ready to come up on these streaming services. Disney, you know, they did that the thing for their investors there towards in the middle of December, where they were talking about all the shows that they've got getting ready to come up, and we can see that all of these streaming services are really making a push towards digital content. And you know, it's going to be a win for some, it's going to be a loss for others. You can see right now everybody's talking about Cobra Kai season 3. I haven't had a chance to watch it myself. Matter of fact, I think I only seen the first season. I'm not sure that I made it through much of season 2, but I'll tell you, at some point I will get through all of that. And it's really hard to say when. Maybe after WandaVision. It's really hard to say, but I want to know your hype level down in the comments below. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's something that I want to talk about with that show. But another thing I want to talk about here by the end of the show is comic prices going up once again. I was just this morning watching, I'm not sure if you guys follow Comics with Bueller, very good channel. You should go check him out. He usually does these premieres here on Monday mornings where he gets together with, oh man, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they get together and they talk about comic news and things coming out. And one of the things they were talking about was something I have noticed going on for a little while. It was actually first pointed out to me by Chris over at Chaos and Comics, where some of these comic companies have kind of been raising prices. We know variant covers have been going up through with Marvel and DC. Some of them cardstock covers and things like that. Aftershock Comics was doing that with a lot of their #1s. Now, the thing that I noticed this weekend when I got into the previews for the previews coming out for March is that Aftershock Comics is getting ready to release Undone by Blood Volume 2, which is a comic book series they just released back in 2020. The first volume of it was Undone by Blood, or Shadow of a Wanted Man. Now, it was a pretty popular book. I thought it was a good read. I read it and enjoyed it, and it was written by Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler, and it has since been optioned for a TV show by Norman Reedus's Big Bald Head Productions. And one of the things here is even when the trade paperback came out, Norman Reedus actually did what do they call that? You know, an introduction in the trade paperback at the very beginning of it. And then we can see here in Volume 2, they actually solicited it as saying that each issue of Volume 2 of Undone by Blood is going to be a cardstock cover, and they're all going to be $4.99 per issue. Now, this is something I've seen, like I said, Aftershock Comics has been doing this with their #1s, but then I recently noticed it this past week as well, this last comic book day of the year, as Aftershock released Kaiju Score issue #2, which is also another comic book that they already have that was optioned for a movie by Sony Pictures before this book ever even hit the shelves. This was announced, I want to say, back in September, that this was going to be a movie from Sony, before they ever said that it was, before, around the same time it was announced that it was going to be hitting comic book shelves when it was solicited. So this is something they did with issue #2 as well. It's got a cardstock cover, is $4.99, that extra dollar. Now, one of the things they were talking about on Comics with Bueller is how these is how DC Futures state a lot of these comic books are getting ready to come out. They're going to be $5.99, $6.99, $7. A lot of them varying in prices. Everything pretty much above $3.99, with there being a couple of $3.99 titles. Now, a lot of these books are thicker books. They're not your regular, 21, 24 page issues, but regardless, nonetheless, you can see where a lot of these companies are testing the waters of pushing $4.99 as a regular price for comic books. Now, a lot of people would say that $3.99 is already too much. I would easily agree with that and say that if you're paying more than $3.99 for a Marvel or DC book, you're probably paying way too much. Out of an indie comic book publisher like Aftershock Comics, I'm more than willing to give them that extra dollar as long as it's something I'm really liking and enjoying and I'm looking forward to. And after that, I guess you know after a number 1 or a number 2. Now, however, this does bring up one other thing I wanted to bring up before we get into the live chats and say hello to you all, is that there's a lot of people out there talking about these kinds of things over the past little while, how the prices are going up. It used to be $1.99 not too long ago, then $2.99. Now we're at $3.99. Now we can see all these companies pushing for $4.99. And you know what? And you thought that crowdfunding comic books was expensive. You can see the route that a lot of these companies are taking, and when you look at it, it's really not that expensive compared to what you are getting, because also when you are crowdfunding comics, you are also helping crowdfund a small independent creator and helping, provide things like that. So we can see moving here into 2021 that crowdfunding comics actually seems to be a little bit less expensive, and we're going to do a video on that here on the channel very shortly, as that is something that we offer here with the channel memberships, and we're going to finally get down to getting some of these videos shot for our channel members, highlighting some of these crowd-funded comic books. But you, even if you're not a channel member, will get some of these reviews for these comic books, because I think that's something that's important, especially going into 2021 and seeing how things are going with these prices going up, where it looks like crowdfunding may not be quite an expensive option. But let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's get into the live chats and see what you are all saying this morning. Let's see here. Where are we at? First off, we've got my man Fanjecture here in the building. What is up, my man? Adam, how are you doing? I hope all is well. Yeah. New camera, shaved. I was waiting for you, buddy. I was waiting for you. You weren't here you weren't here to see the crap show that Friday night was, the Trailer Park Live, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. As things, when I hooked all this new camera and some of this equipment up, it didn't run so smoothly, because for some odd reason, some settings changed, and hey, regardless, here we are and everything is going good. Thank you so much for being here, Adam, and I'm looking forward to this week's Debate 8. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to Fanjecture, make sure that you go and subscribe to his channel. Make sure that you subscribe to his channel and be ready for Debate 8 this week. I believe it's Pixar movies, if I'm not mistaken. You can even go check out his channel, go check out his Twitter and everything. Get in his Discord and become part of the community. Become part of one of the people who votes. Always a good time, Fanjecture. And Fanjecture, if you would like, please feel free to drop your link down there in the comments below, and we can make sure that we get that pinned up there at the top of the comments, so everybody can make sure that they go and check out your channel and make sure they check out your stream this week, this Wednesday. ReeferMan Reviews, thank you so much for being here. Says, oh my god, that face though. Yeah, 100% cue ball, Dixie. That's right. Yeah. The old Trinity is back. The homeless man is gone. Absolutely, Adam. The Great Council, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a very good New Year so far. Hope all is well. Trinity head in the side pocket. That's right. ReeferMan Reviews says, I saved 20% at Newberry Comics, so $4.99 doesn't bother me because I'm still paying about $4. Yeah, I hear you. I remember when comic books cost $1, right? Absolutely. Happy first Monday of 2021, says Star Wars Santa. Star Wars Santa, thank you so much for being here. Guys, make sure you go check out Star Wars Santa too. I believe he will be going live in about 2 hours. from now if he's going live today. Usually goes about 9 a.m. my time. So yeah, make sure you go check that out. I want and I had to walk uphill both ways. Yeah, pouring snow to go to school. Yep. Gray Council says crowdfunding comics is the way. Yes, this is the way. Absolutely. And speaking of which, I'm not sure if you guys know the Gray Council. You know, Darth Daddy Lunga over there. He is a creator himself. And yes, the Myrtle Maniacs have backed one of his books, and we will be doing a review here on the channel for that. And one of the things we want to do with a lot of those videos is show the value of these comic books, and hey, are they worth your money? Some projects really are, some aren't, some kind of in between. One thing you always got to remember is that you are supporting a small creator. Yeah, Lord Veedo, my man, thank you so much for being here. Says not going to be able to live stream today. All right, totally understand. Getting back to work after the holidays. Good deal. All right, Santa. Whoa, yes. How are you doing, Renee? Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, you like to see that? Yeah. High Republic launch event. Okay, you're going to be doing that. I think that's at 8 a.m., correct? I think that's at 8 a.m. when they're going to be doing that. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I know a lot of people are going to be doing that. Taki616, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a good day as well. Now, you know, something, guys, I wanted to talk about as well. You know, speaking of the WandaVision series is less than 2 weeks away. We're going to be doing a lot of talking about that. We're going to have some streams talking about that, obviously, on Friday mornings. We'll probably be talking about that on Monday mornings with my man Chillmonger. Who's not on the show today. I was just kind of busy this morning, didn't get around to get to him. I'm going to reach out to him, hopefully have him on the channel here on Wednesday to talk maybe a little bit more about the prices going up in comic books and what his thoughts are on those kinds of things. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is this WandaVision series. And again, I want to know your hype level down in the comments. Let me know how ready you are for WandaVision. And what I want to show you here, guys, is I want to take a look at something I was noticing as I was combing through. And you know what? I honestly didn't even prepare for this. You know, who was it I was chastising the other day about being prepared for this stuff? Black Angus, it was yesterday. Being prepared for showing some of these things. But there's something I want to show you guys I was noticing when I was looking through these WandaVision trailers, looking for things, kind of got a theory that I was building, and something that was very interesting as I was looking through here. I want to show you. Let me see if I can get where are we at. Is this the right scene? I hope it's right. It's not quite the right scene. Let's see here. We don't need that. All right, there we go. Now I want to show you guys this image, and it's something that I don't know, maybe some people have talked about, maybe they haven't. But it was something I was noticing. I'm like, oh man, what is this thing here that nobody seems to be talking about? Because I was looking at, I was kind of building this theory, and I noticed this right here. Where are we at? Oh, come on. No. One, three. There we go. Right here. I want you guys to check this out. Oh, man. It's a little too big. It's a little too big. But look at this image right here of WandaVision. I got this screen cap. I was like, huh, this is very, very interesting. Is there something here that you notice is or isn't there? Just look closely. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that by the time I shrunk this down. Maybe I should just blow it back up here. Take a look at that image right there, and tell me what do you see? The one thing I want you to notice is look right there on the car hood and the shadow that is reflecting off of the car hood. Over on the left, you can sit there and look, and you can kind of see the top of Wanda's head right there on the car hood. See the little reflection there? Look where Vision is sitting at. You don't really see his reflection at all. Which is, you know, I guess kind of interesting. Maybe it's nothing big. Maybe it's nothing big, but You know, it seems like a lot of there's a lot of theories out there, and there's been plenty of things out there to suggest that we will be getting Mephisto in this WandaVision series. I mean, I think there was a Funko Pop leak, and those Funko Pops, they always seem to spoil everything, don't they? All these toy leaks and everything. And what's funny is I laugh about a lot of these things, but at times I think they also, there are times where they actually kind of somewhat become true as well. But it seems like Funko Pops is one that seems to ruin a lot. I remember seeing a Funko Pop leak not too long ago, and I can't seem to find the picture now online, but I know I've seen it before, where they had a Funko Pop of Monica Rambeau in her Spectrum outfit. But on the chest of it, instead of having the normal, like the star, like the Spectrum star, like the Captain Marvel has, instead of having that on, what they had on there is it had the symbol for sword. Because we know from the trailers also we see that she actually works for Sword. Monica Rambeau does. But it's very interesting there, because one of the things that is interesting in that is we know that we've had these rumors of Mephisto coming out. We see just through some of these things, and I was kind of thinking and starting to speculate that maybe Mephisto isn't the big bad. Maybe he's actually just there taking advantage of a situation that presents itself, because more than anything, as much as he is a bad guy, he's also kind of an opportunist. And if somebody's presenting him with an opportunity to take advantage of something, I think there's a lot to believe that he, you know, obviously is going to go out there and take advantage of these kinds of things out there. Now, the one thing that I wanted to point out that I think he's taking advantage of is maybe a situation in which Sword, or possibly even the government itself, is presenting to him. Because there's something very interesting in the trailers as well, where we see that Jimmy Woo is in the trailers. Now, I'm not sure if you guys remember who Agent Jimmy Woo is. He works for the FBI, and we can see through the trailers that he still works for the FBI. Those single shots that we get of him running there with some of the armed forces, his jacket clearly shows that he is still working with the FBI. Now, it's interesting because when he was doing that, and that we've seen him since Ant-Man, we see that he is going out, and he was basically in charge of monitoring those who were on house arrest from breaking the Sokovia Accords, which is very interesting why we see him in this shot. And I bring that up because where we see all of these things happening, we see him kind of in this wooded area. We see S.H.I.E.L.D. showing up in this kind of wooded area where it looks like Westview is at. Now, Westview is something that has been very, you know, is what I've really been looking at here. Westview, WV, Westview, like WandaVision, just like the show. Is there a little bit more to that WV thing that I don't know about? Hell, I don't know. But the one thing that is, I was kind of thinking is Wanda after this. The last time we seen General Ross, let me take it back a little bit. The last time we seen General Ross in the MCU was at the very end of Avengers Endgame, and we seen him there at Tony Stark's funeral. And man, he didn't look none too content. He didn't look sad that Tony Stark was dead. He didn't really look like he cared. As a matter of fact, he looked stern and like he was ready to make some sort of action or some sort of moves. And we seen he was standing right there next to Maria Hill. Now, we haven't seen Maria Hill since Avengers Endgame. Now, I know that you're probably thinking, well, we've seen Maria Hill in Spider-Man Far From Home. But no, we did not. We seen these Skrulls who were actually there impersonating Nick Fury and Maria Hill. Now, what Maria Hill has been doing this whole time, we really don't know. She was standing there in the back next to General Ross at towards the back of the funeral, the services there. And what the funny thing is standing right in front of General Ross was, well, of course, we've seen that there was Harley, the kid from Iron Man 3, but also standing right in front of them was the very three people whose who's are the next people to get these streaming shows. We seen Bucky, we seen Sam, and we also seen Wanda all sitting there together. Now this brings it back to Jimmy Woo in the sense that, is it hard to imagine that maybe, just maybe, General Ross was still out there trying to look after and bring people to justice who had violated the Sokovia Accords? Because we know that Scott Lang, he did his time. We also know that Clint Barton, as far as General Ross knows, did his time, because he was, you know, his family was snapped away as the event occurred right after Scott Lang had already gotten off of house arrest, as we seen in Ant-Man. And we can only imagine that Clint Barton would have been getting off at the same time. Maybe they just didn't have the time to get to Clint Barton to take off his monitor quite yet. But he still has plenty of people who violated those accords to bring to justice. So is it hard to imagine that maybe at that funeral service that General Ross, he don't care about poise or anything like that. He don't care whether it's the right time. I guarantee you, he probably went in there and wanted to put his foot down and bring these people to justice. And it's not hard to imagine that he did. But we know, while he wanted to bring them to justice, he is also maybe a little bit of a softie and still wanted to give them a little bit of leniency of, you know, letting them go ahead and just go on house arrest. I'm just throwing this out there because maybe that's what we see Jimmy Woo doing here, is going to follow up with Wanda on her house arrest thing. And maybe there's an event taking place that they're not really for sure what happened, because maybe she broke the perimeter of her house arrest, right? Maybe she broke the perimeter of her house arrest, and he is there trying to find out what's going on. And as they are there, an event happens, and that is when Sword comes in to kind of, well, we see them coming in. It looks like they're going to take full force and take charge of things, quarantine off this area. And we see in the trailers where it looks like that quarantine area starts to get bigger and bigger, that they need to take care of, because Wanda is getting more and more out of control. Now, I think all of this has to do with something that where Mephisto comes in at, where it's a situation that he's just going to take advantage of, where S.H.I.E.L.D., or not S.H.I.E.L.D., but General Ross, the government, and maybe Sword are presenting him with the perfect opportunity to take advantage of Wanda and her powers. And maybe he's actually doing this by going into this reality that Wanda is creating there in Westview, and manipulating people and using them to get through to her and change her perception of things and throw things out of whack. Now, the reason I bring up Sword and maybe even General Ross is because something I've been talking about here on the channel quite a bit, and that comes down to Pleasant Hill. Now, Pleasant Hill is the storyline that happened in the comics, an Avengers standoff. Now, what had happened there was Maria Hill was in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we know by all accounts right now is not in the MCU, but she was in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she actually started this prison in which they changed the prisoner's reality using these cosmic cube fragments called Kobik. Now, these cosmic cube, this Kobik came about because these cosmic cube fragments, they violently merged and created this sentient little girl that let them change and manipulate reality. They took this whole town and made it into Pleasantville, if you will, a small town, you know, a small unseeming town that was really just a prison for all of these super criminals. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I think it's very possible that while things started to get out of hand, maybe S.H.I.E.L.D., or Sword in this case, starts to step in, is working with the governments and everything to try to contain this phenomenon that's going on there with Wanda. Maybe they're starting to do that, and maybe they have this technology. We see that Tony Stark has that barf technology that we've seen all in Spider-Man, where they can create this sort of fake reality. Now, that's the same thing that they really did in the Pleasant Hill series, right? Now, I bring all of these things up because is it hard to imagine that we see this thing going on there in Westview that looks like this little town that Wanda is living in? And maybe what's happening is maybe they actually have he's taking advantage of the situation where Sword and the government and everybody's getting kind of involved, and they all get sucked into Wanda's reality here, where we see the trailers where it's kind of exploding out, and maybe it's exploding out where we see it's starting to overtake everything. Maybe all of these people, maybe Agent Wu, maybe Darcy, and even obviously Monica Rambeau herself, maybe all these people actually get sucked into Wanda's reality, and they're all playing part in it. And that's where all of this stuff comes from, where we see that Monica Rambeau went to her and was kind of confused about who she is and who she was. We also see in the trailers where some of the things happened where, you know, I believe it was in a clip with Agatha Harkness, or Agnes as we know her here, says, "Are you here to help us?" Like she's living in this reality that she don't want to be in, this horrific reality. Now this is exactly what happened in Pleasant Hill. The exact same thing happened, where they had this fake reality, and there was the fixer who was there, who knew that didn't have the world pulled over his eyes. He created a machine that let him see reality, and they started to free prisoners there, and then in turn they eventually trapped all of the Avengers and the Shield and Maria Hill and all of these people inside of Pleasant Hill. Now, the interesting thing about this is why I keep coming back to this and bringing this up is because in the comic books, this came at a time when Captain America was aged. He had lost the serum in his body. He was an old man. He had handed off the shield to Sam Wilson to be the next Captain America. Bucky Barnes was out working, he was actually out working with Sword, keeping an eye on the world, and he actually ended up coming back to Earth because the next big cosmic threat was on Earth. And that was due to Kobik. Now, that's interesting because I bring up Kobik because we see in the trailer, we see in these trailers this very thing happening. We see, you know, remember you see those visions where Wanda is sitting there looking at that blue stone and it explodes in front of her, and you see the Mind Stone there all yellow and everything, right? This could be that exact thing where we seen those cosmic cube fragments had violently merged in the comics. Maybe they're doing something very similar here in the MCU and with the WandaVision series where they are doing this. So I think what they're doing is they are kind of combining maybe the House of M storyline with the Pleasant Hill storyline, because it allows them to blow up these things like it seems like they are doing here through these streaming services, and something I have definitely talked about here on the channel, where they're going to be blowing these things up. So while I don't think Mephisto is necessarily the big bad of this show, I think he's going to be what he is. He's going to be an opportunist, taking advantage of this opportunity that he has before him, that Shield or I guess Sword is maybe presenting for him to take advantage of. Because there's some other creepy things going on aside from Vision not appearing on that car hood. Now, I know there's probably, you know, you could think of a lot of reasons why Vision wouldn't be in that image. And for me, I think the biggest thing is because he's not even there. I think he's just not even there because he's made up in her mind at that point. But anyway, guys, I'm finished nerding out here. Let's get into the live chats and see what you all are saying here today. I think I've nerded out for long enough. Okay. Louis the 13th, thank you so much for being here. Stephen J, my man, what is up? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go check out. Yeah, if he's doing that. Yeah, Chillmonger says he doesn't mind. He doesn't. Huh? What? Oh man, I must have missed something there. That's what I get for flapping my gums like a nerd for so long. And how will DC just be going? And how DC would just be doing 12 issues a month? Yeah, I don't know. Like the 12 issue, I think they'll be doing more than that. Yeah, I think they'll be doing more than that. But I'm at 12.5 for out of 10 for WandaVision. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I'm so hyped for WandaVision, dude. I cannot wait. To see that. LB says, "I am here." Yes, guys, and he's going to be doing he's going to be doing some live streams as well on Friday evenings. LB will for the WandaVision series as well. So make sure you go check out my man LB's channel as well. Lord Veedo says, so do you think the whole first episode will be in black and white or just a segment? Honestly, I think the whole first episode, I think in the first episode, it might start to transition to black and white at that point. I think it's going to start off full color. I think we're going to start off in a real reality. Because one of the things that I was going back and looking at some of the theory videos that had come out a while back, and one of them I was watching was very interesting that actually Josh over the Den of Nerds had done, where he was talking about this leak had said that Wanda was actually going to be living with Pepper Potts and Wanda, or with Pepper Stark and Morgan Stark. And which is very interesting because in that wooded area, I mean, it looks like there where the Starks would have lived at. Could have been a place in upstate New York. And we know that this wouldn't be the first time that Tony Stark, or the Starks, I guess you could say, had basically offered her a place to stay, because they did the same thing in Civil War, which is one of the other things that brings me back to Tony Stark, and then possibly using all that barf technology and everything, is that Tony Stark had done the same thing in Civil War, remember? Except for she was a minor at that point. But she had stayed at the Avengers compound there. And remember, Steve Rogers had a problem with that. You know, he even called it internment. And he said there were worse ways to protect people. So yeah, I think there's I think it's going to start off in reality. I think it's going to start off in reality. Vision is a vampire. Yeah, I mean, and it could be. I mean, that very well could be if they're going to kind of do some of these things. But I honestly think that the no Vision being there, I honestly think it's just that he's a figment of her imagination at that point. That she probably don't really see a like. The other thing I want to I noticed here too with these trailers is that Wanda is here manipulating reality. And here's the other reason I think that somebody else is responsible, and it's a Pleasant Hill like situation, is because we see that Wanda, while she's getting out of control, we see her using her powers to manipulate reality. Now she's using her powers to manipulate reality to meet the status quo of family life in those times. And I think that's what's going to be interesting as we move through this timeline. And I'm wondering if it's actually, if she's starting at in nowadays and she starts reverting backwards from modern TV backwards in time. I'm wondering if that's how it's going to go, because I'm thinking maybe it's going to start off where she's like, oh, well, living in this reality, she's like, oh, well, everything's all good. You know, me and Vision are like, whoa, what are you talking about? Vision's dead. And, and those kinds of things. And she's kind of trying to come to terms with living this kind of reality that she's making up, and being in this relationship that she's no longer in, dealing and coping with that loss. And I think that she's probably going to revert back maybe to some of these sitcoms that she's been watching, to see how family life is there, and be like, oh, okay, oh, well, this is how family life is. Like, oh, right, no. Like, this isn't how I've seen it. So then she ends up going back again in time, like, oh, you know, like all of these different things. Because some of that confusion there, too, is when Auntie Agnes comes over in the trailers. And remember, there's that scene where we don't see, where she comes over and she says, let's start over again. And it seems like she gathers her stuff and leaves. But we also see at that same shot where we see the cribs, a shot of the cribs, and it looks like there's no babies in there. We just see cribs, no babies. And then later, you know, we see where, you know, in one of the other trailers where there's, you know, we see the little pacifiers popping out of there. So I think there's some different things going on here. And I think maybe she's actually reverting back in time, trying to meet that status quo of family life to fit into society. And I think it reverts her back to a lot of these times, like the I Love Lucy, like the oh man, why am I all of a sudden forgetting not Ed Sullivan. What am I talking about? Ed Sullivan. You know what I'm talking about. But it looks like it's reverting back to those times, and then she's probably going to go through back forward through time to be like, okay, like this is weird. This perceived, and that's the thing, is this how the family model has changed over, maybe showcasing that, over the last 50 years through television, how that kind of thing has changed, and maybe how these perceptions are going to shape and her world and her view of these things, and that is where everything is going to be at. And maybe all of these people are going to be coming into her life through that. Maybe we see Agent Wu coming in there, because I can totally see Randall Park coming into play, that typical or stereotypical Asian character that you would have seen back in shows like All in the Family and things like that, as well as Monica Rambeau doing playing off of all these kind of stereotypes and the stereotypes of modern family life. But man, I've completely nerded out here again. Yeah, Lord Veedo, we're going deep in the rabbit hole now. Yeah. Eric Hiney, thank you so much for being here. Says, let's have a community stream right now. You gotta like put the right now thing. I think we'll do that. Maybe I want to do that on the weekends, Eric. I want to do that on the weekends, because I think that's when I'm gonna have probably a little bit more time, and probably everybody has a little bit more time to do things like that. Maybe we'll shoot for the weekend. It would have to be a Saturday or a Sunday. But I also need to get things sorted out with a few people to have on the show regularly for the community streams as well. And definitely I will reach out to you, Eric. Definitely. Well, to be honest, they're going to need someone super powerful to stand up to Wanda at this level. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Volkswagens or VWs, reverse WandaVision. Oh, yeah. There you go. Harley, who was supposed to have Spider-Man's role, but as Iron Lad. I wonder how mad the actor is about Marvel getting to use Spider-Man. Yeah, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Harley. Landon TLB, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, but Ross isn't bringing anyone to justice with a roster of superheroes standing there. Yeah, but I think the superheroes would be cool and content about it. They'd be like, man, Ross is just a jerk. Because most of them don't see. And that's one of the things I thought about too. Veedo was most of them are in the clear. Most of them are all good. He don't care about most of them. Most of them have served their time or not broken the accords. But those three standing right there have. Now, we also seen that Captain Marvel was standing there, and by all means, if we see some of these things going on, if Wanda is that threat that she is, maybe Captain Marvel might actually be there to help keep the peace too. She might be like, hey, hey man, just here to help keep the peace. Like, things are, because we know that's part of the things that lead to like Civil War 2 is a lot of those debates about what is right and wrong about bringing people to justice when they know the future and they could predict and see the future. So yeah, definitely some interesting stuff there. Yeah. Pleasant Hill is amazing, absolutely. T-Rev says they are combining and streamlining a lot of the stories. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the thing I was thinking about. I'm like, maybe they're going to take and use it and just kind of put both of them there together. And, just like they're doing with The Mandalorian, where they're taking a lot of the old and a lot of the new, and I've talked about that too, and they're throwing it in a blender and they're slowly blending it, right? Right now they've got it in, they don't have it in puree mode yet. Right now they're just hitting the chop, the mix button. Yeah, Aggressively Relaxing says, I love watching people speculate on a Scarlet Witch story because it makes you sound like a crazy person speaking gibberish unless you are deep into Marvel lore. Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's the thing is like, and here's one of the things with that is like, you can know all of that comic book stuff and all of that lore, and you know that Kevin Feige is going to take it and he's going to do something different with it. He's not doing anything the exact same that they were in the comic books. Nothing that's happened in any of these stories is exactly like it happened in the comic books. So there's that. Absolutely. It makes you, hey, Wanda will make you go crazy anyway, right? Jamie Franklin says, what's good, my guy? So I'm just so excited about WandaVision and even more excited about the Loki series. I know, that Loki series looks fire too. And like I said, and that's why I don't think that Mephisto is necessarily going to be the big bad in the show. I think he's going to take advantage of a situation, because this show doesn't give us the feeling that it's going to be horrific or anything like that. And as a matter of fact, due to the director who actually used to be in a family style sitcom himself, just the 10 of us, I think he's going to bring a lot of that feel. He knows what's kind of goes on behind the scenes, the things of bringing these kind of productions to TV shows. So I think he's probably the perfect person to be directing this show. And I think what it's going to be like is where Mephisto is going to be in there, and he's not going to be overly sinister so much as manipulating every little thing around him, where Wanda isn't necessarily going to be the bad guy. She's actually going to be somebody that ends up being a victim of Mephisto by his manipulation. And we can see even in the trailers of Loki how he has been he's been Easter egged in those trailers already. So we can see how it's all kind of tying together. And I think it's very interesting because, like I said, we've also got Falcon and Winter Soldier right there as well. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's crazy. ReeferMan says, I'm made of cheese. Yeah. Aglax says, thanks to the Cosmic Cube and Chaos Magic, we might see the Fox X-Men Quicksilver. Regular person? Word. Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that have been speculating about that too. I don't think that we're going to see the Fox, I don't know. The funny thing is there are some shots of Vision kind of as he's changing in some of these trailers where it doesn't look like Paul Bettany in some of the shots. It looks like, and it looks completely, obviously they're using computer generated images for him anyway, putting him in like the Vision, some of the Vision stuff, but how much, to what degree, and those kinds of things. It's interesting seeing what they're doing, because we know they're always trying to trick us. But it's interesting too, because it makes me wonder, is he the beekeeper? The beekeeper is interesting too, because in the Pleasant Hill series, there wasn't the beekeeper, but he was the gardener, who was actually a guy who kind of was always keeping up the local parks and stuff. But he was also kind of keeper of this garage, which was like the only place in Pleasant Hill where they didn't have camera coverage. So very interesting stuff there. Black and white isn't pretty. I hope they do outside world, the outside world in color. I think it's gonna kind of blend. Now, part of the other reason I think I'm thinking for Pleasant Hill also is because we see at some points where, like that in the trailer, where we see like the world is going from color to black and white to color, and we see that some of the magic through the we see that some of the magic happening through the trailer, it looks like Wanda don't even know what's going on. So I think there's somebody else actually manipulating reality around her as well, or her reality. And that's why I think there's the kind of the crossover there with Pleasant Hill. And maybe that's part of S.W.O.R.D's way to contain it, is maybe they use some of that technology to come in and help contain it by trying to stabilize Wanda and create an environment around her that is a little bit more stable, but they cannot contain it. And I think that's where some of that comes in at. The Stark's cabin is in Georgia. You can rent it on Airbnb. See? There you go. It's in Georgia. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A reverse Wizard of Oz would be cool. Chill Mark. Yeah. Right. Well, and I think that's they'll probably do something like that too. And it's interesting too with some of it too, because we see like most of the outside shots that we see, or not most of them, but some of them look fake. And there's just everything in this trailer that kind of indicates to me that there is some sort of foul play going, some sort of illusion going on in the world. Chillmonger says Kamala Khan lives a secret identity. She'll be breaking the Accords. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there will be X-Men live action series on for Disney Plus? I don't know. I don't see that. I see the X-Men being a movie. I see it being a film franchise. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get all the mutants introduced through all these series and shows, and then we will see them come into a movie. What's funny is I actually did a video almost 2 years ago, talking about how they would integrate in the X-Men into the MCU. And I went back and watched it not too long ago. I'm kind of like, yeah, I still stand behind a lot of this stuff. I kind of see it as maybe being viable options. But then, things kind of change a little bit, and, I'd kind of change some of it, but yeah. Dixie says, son of a bitch, I got timed out. I didn't even see you making any comments to get timed out. Dixie? I didn't even see you making any comments to get timed out. What are you talking about? I think you're just messing with me, Dixie. Eric, I really hope so. Yeah, I think a lot of the series with mutants will end up being individual series, diving into certain characters and kind of showing and doing that world building there, not necessarily X-Men series. I think the X-Men, just like the Avengers, they will save for movies. And also playing into this whole Wanda Fury Vision and the Pleasant Hill thing that I have, a lot of that speculation, I mean, just so much of that leads to, like I said, the Civil War II. It actually helps them play out the Secret Invasion storyline as well, where we know that they've talked about that. I think a lot of these things really help them play it if they take and they mix a lot of these things together. Because I mean, I think we're there. We've seen where they have all these technologies and all of these things that have happened in the comic books here, kind of already in there, and been planted to in this toy box for them to play with. And then them exploding this world is going to make that even more so. Even more so. Landon TLB says, Wanda just having a dream, or she could be insane. Well, I think maybe, like, here's the thing, is if she's getting deep in her depression because of her loss of vision and everything, and she kind of gets lost in that, and supposedly she's going to be watching all these TV shows, and that's kind of where her dream world comes in at. Now, it's very interesting, because that's kind of what all of these things come about in the comic books as well. So I think they're doing a lot of the mixing here of doing possibly like a House of M, and even like the Pleasant Hill, and a lot of these things, bringing a lot of that stuff into the series to help expand this world even more, mixing all of these stories to build that world. And I think it's cool. I'm enjoying it. I really am. But anyway, guys, let me know if you guys have any other things to cover, what you think about these theories down in the comments below. We'll talk about what else you guys have to say, and we'll probably end the stream here in just a few minutes. But yeah, I think I am pretty caught up on the chat here. Chaos and Comics says, yo yo yo, what is up, Chris? How are you doing? Chris took us all to church yesterday. In case you didn't know, he took us the comic book. He had a comic book sermon on. Make sure you go check out Chris from Chaos and Comics as well, man. Another great person in the comic book community. And it's funny, Chris, I was actually talking about you towards the beginning of the stream. I was talking about you. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you all so much for being here. Again, we won't be going live tomorrow morning. If I do, it would be early. I don't know. We might. But tomorrow is DC Tuesday. I'll be at my local comic book shop helping them get ready, get all the comic books bagged and boarded and pull lists fulfilled, getting ready for new Comic Book Wednesday. But again, thank you all so much for being here today on the Morning Movie Chat. You all have a good day, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.